Hi, welcome to Inside the Moms Club, where being a mom is the coolest place to be. Here in the Moms Club, we believe that what embarrasses you now will make a great story later. And let's face it, you don't laugh sometimes, you're gonna cry. Join us in having a good laugh together. I'm Monica Samuels. You are now inside the Moms Club, your private destination for all things mom. Welcome, moms. Welcome to Inside the Moms Club. I'm Monica Samuels, and I'm here today with my co-host, Leslie Harrell. Good morning, Leslie. Yep. So glad that you're here today. Leslie and I have something, we have many things in common, which is why we're friends. But one thing we have in common is her son plays baseball. My son played baseball all the way through high school and even a little bit into college. And I just remembered yesterday, and since you're going to be one of the team moms, one of the things that we didn't get to do because of the pandemic that I think you should consider doing is we had it planned, Angela and I had it planned, that when they do their walk-up music, because, you know, the boys pick their own walk-up music, and honestly, half the time we're arguing with them about, you need to bleep that out. We can't have that. Yeah, that's not a good song for the families to hear. But what we were going to do, which we never got to do, is make the walk-up music for one of the games, like I think it was going to be senior night, their favorite, the theme song to their favorite show when they were little. So in Chase's case, he would have walked up to Bob the Builder. Bob the Builder, can he fix it? And he would have just loved that. And then Clay, his favorite show was Dora the Explorer. So we thought that would be really fun and cute. And great. Yeah. The parents would have loved it. I don't know about the boys, but we thought that was cool. So I feel like I can tell you that on the show, because the day that little Marshall starts listening to Inside the Moms Club and tips off all his friends will be a day that we've really hit it big if the kids start listening to this.
I'm not too worried about that right now.
I'm not. Yeah, I think we're safe for at least for this baseball season. So if you were to pick a song that little Marshall, what was his favorite show?
He really loved, and this was a little bit older, is Phineas and Ferb. I mean, and of course their music was great and a little bit devious. And so that's kind of a little bit him, a little bit on the sly. But, we watched, they were little, we watched, he did Thomas the Train. He did, we did, Blue's Clues was still popular when they were coming up. And anyway, but then they got into that Nickelodeon. PBS was like when they were really little, you were doing PBS a lot. And then but I never let my kids watch it before school. I was like, I'm not getting trapped in that whole just one more minute, Mom. Oh my gosh, Blue's doing that. And I'm like, no, we're not doing that. So never before school. But then they quickly moved to like the Nickelodeon, the Disney.
Well, Jared's a little older, so Jared, when he was really, really little, Barney was big. And I have mixed feelings about Barney because Barney saved my life several times. I mean, when I needed to do something, throw Barney on there and he was mesmerized. I mean, there's something, it's kind of like the Hallmark Channel for my mom, because now she just watches the same movies over and over and over again. And it doesn't,
and she's entertained.
Good. Yeah, it's like, hey, Mom, I'm going to go do this. We're going to go watch.
Oh, my mom and I do that all the time.
The Hallmark Channel.
Yeah.
Those movies, those Christmas movies. There's something about it. Same thing about Barney. So Barney was like, really, this is, for me personally, it was a little mind-numbing, but he loved it. Now, the other thing he loved Pokemon. And I remember one time I took him to the Pokemon movie thinking I was being a good mother. He was 3. We go into the theater, and we were the only 2 people in the theater. And
not a sign of a great movie.
Well... Or it was just, we had to be one of the first people. I can't imagine I would have waited till later in the run, but whatever. It was empty except for the 2 of us. And I fell asleep. And I woke up with the credits rolling at the end, and he was still there. So
that's a blessing.
Yeah. So I probably would have been arrested or something like, okay, ma'am, what happened exactly? Your son is gone, and you were in here by yourself with him. So yeah, the kids shows.
When they were little, you could put him in front of it, and that's what you did sometimes, so you could go get other stuff done.
Yeah.
Right. And then as they got older, and you really, as a parent, you never really engaged in it, But as the kids got older, I love Phineas and Ferb. I could sit and watch that every day. And SpongeBob, sort of sometimes. But then they got into like the Hannah Montanas and the
well, that's a whole different kind of.
There was iCarly. Oh my gosh, we loved iCarly.
That was a different. That was a different kind of thing. I even the other night, my good friend who our sons played basketball or baseball together. He's a plumber, so he came over to help us or help me do some stuff. And so I was walking around talking to him while he was doing his work, and I said, "Man, you got a really hard job." And I could never do any of this stuff. So then when he left, you know how your brain works in weird ways. Suddenly that song, "Who Are the People in Your Neighborhood?" It started rolling through my head. Like, where does that song come from? But it's from Sesame Street.
Oh yeah, because they were always teaching you about all the different professions and what everybody does.
The people are in your. Yeah, it was very cool.
The mailman was cool.
Yeah,
like they interviewed. The mailman was a cool character.
Well,
if I remember right,
they all were. Well, yeah, that was a great and has been for a long time. Great PBS show, and today, as a matter of fact, it's very exciting. We are going to meet a future kids show star. I can already see it in her future. But before that, we are very, very lucky to get to talk to and meet her mother, who is a very impressive woman in her own right. She is an actress, a motivational speaker, an author. In her first role, her breakout role in film was in the feature film Freedom Writers, and she followed that up with TV appearances on ER, Law and Order. She was nominated with an ensemble cast for Best Ensemble Cast for the show Dexter. She has written a memoir, which is very interesting, and she does motivational talks. She has an amazing TEDx talk that you need to catch online.
Yeah,
and just some great videos with some great messages. We are thrilled to have with us today April Hernandez Castillo. Welcome, April. Welcome
Hello,
to the
lady.
Moms Club.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much.
We're so happy that you're here. Well, it's an exciting time for you. Not only do you have your own career going, which I mean, I was reading all the things you've done. Oh, you also you were a guest co-host on The View. I mean, your resume takes like several pages to go through all the cool things that you've done.
I appreciate that.
Well, and then you got a daughter who's, kind of following in your footsteps and doing some stuff.
Yeah.
But you've done so much stuff in your own right.
Right.
And had some experiences that you have, kind of followed up on and been able to share, right?
Yeah. Well, let's get a little business out of the way just to help us personally. So you co-hosted, you were a guest host on The View. So you were with a bunch of women on a show together, like talking and everything. What was that like? Because we need to get some tips here for the Moms Club. We need to get us a little insight. What was it like appearing on The View?
So, well, when I feel like a dinosaur, because when I was on, that's when Rosie O'Donnell was on there. And she was actually the nicest one. She was so sweet. She made me feel as if I belonged. And I remember her saying, "Look, honey, just talk. Whatever you do, just talk, because we are all talkers." And I thought, I can do that. That's great. It was the most amazing just being around on that table. And I realized, like, oh my goodness, I think I can do this. I could definitely do it. So you just need to talk and be so honest. And I think that's why that show has lasted for so long, even after all of the, guest hosts that come through. I think it's just having an opinion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's great.
Sometimes mothers feel as if their opinion doesn't matter. And when you're sitting at that kind of table, oh, you better have an opinion.
Oh, yeah. Well,
we don't lack for opinions.
We all have opinions. Yeah. I think, didn't someone tell me I was the nicest one? Is that what they? No, I don't.
Wait a minute. Like, I don't know if that ever happened.
No.
Not that it's not
I think it was my husband. So I think he had to say that.
Oh, yeah.
At the time.
That
was kind of the deal.
This is true.
So how did you go? Now, your acting career is amazing. But how did you go from acting into your motivational speaking and the TEDx talk and the work that you've done with teenage dating violence? Is that as a campaign? Can you share with us your story and how that you were led to do that?
Of course. When we were going on a press tour for Freedom Writers, it was myself, Erin Gruelle, which is what the movie is about, the teacher and 150 students. So it was myself, Erin Gruelle, and the girl that I actually played. She was a real woman, Maria Reyes. And we went on a 5-city tour, and we would have focus groups and watch the film. No one knew that we were in the seats and we would get up and just begin speaking. And I realized like, oh, number one, I really enjoy communicating. I really enjoy talking, but I was also inspired in understanding the power of story from the film, that we really don't realize the power of our stories, right? When we've experienced any kind of trauma or tragedy, how when we are able to move forward, that can actually impact other lives if you're willing to share it. And before that, before I became an actor, I started as a stand-up comedian. And I really thought that was where my life was going to go. So I felt like it was the universe training me to be able to speak in front of people, because let me tell you, in order to make people laugh, you better believe that you're funny. And whether or not, and it broke that. So I love speaking in front of groups. And it just came as a natural progression. And so I said, oh, I think I want to do this. I had no concept or vision that you can actually make a career, because it feels like everyone is a motivational speaker now and everyone's a guru. But back then it was my way of beginning my healing process.
So for you, you were going to tell your own story, which is that
right. I'm a survivor of teen dating violence. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, I was in an abusive relationship from the age of 16 to 19 and a half, but I didn't begin sharing that until 10 years later.
Mm-hmm. Because it's so great that you, well, what gave you the power to feel like I can tell this story to a lot of people? Because some people, that's just something that they don't share. And yet it's so important because it's out there.
And I think another thing that happens with that too is that when you're young, there's sometimes not a lot of value put on teenage relationships. You know, you're sort of like, you're passing through these teenage relationships. So there's not a lot of, like, you're sort of like, oh, this is just one of your experiences, right?
Right.
But like when you have in a situation, it's, you know, to give value to having a relationship at that age and then to give a voice to it and how you got out of it. Yeah, I mean that.
How did you bridge that? What made you decide, you know what, I'm going to tell this story?
It really was Freedom Writers. It really was being inspired. The film is derived from the Freedom Writers diary. Mm-hmm. So all of the diaries are from the actual students. And I just kept thinking, my goodness, I know I survived this, but when you're going through it, you're just saying, I just don't want to be in that place anymore. I didn't have the language to be like, oh, I'm a survivor and I have all of these resources. I just knew I was in a very bad situation and I needed to get out. I didn't even identify as a victim. I just thought I just need to not be in a very toxic relationship that almost took my life. So when you have that, and then you get to look back and say, I have this platform now. How can I use this to empower others? Because I'm so happy that we're talking about it way more than ever before, but it's happening, and it's happening mm-hmm. amongst our teenagers like never before. And teenagers, like you said, they just feel like they're passing through time, right? They have these relationships that mold them. But when you become intimate with someone, it really it takes it deeper.
Now you share in your TEDx talk and in your memoir, your relationship with your mom wasn't that great, from what I understand.
Right.
But how did that impact that relationship that you were having? Like, you couldn't talk to her, or she just didn't know about it, or what was that relationship? Because that's so important to be able to talk to your parents, I would think.
Yeah, but most kids won't talk to their parents about if they're being abused. They just won't. And I when I'm doing parent workshops or facilitating, I always tell parents the most influential person in your child's life are their friends and social media and everyone else other than us, who as parents we want to protect and be there. It takes a lot for teenagers to find the courage, but it's also because they're dealing with shame, and their brain is trying to process of, my goodness, my mom taught me better, but yet I'm in this situation where if I say something, someone might get in trouble. So I feel like teenagers always want to protect, and that's sort of what I wanted to do, but I also wanted to protect my family. And listen, I'm Puerto Rican. My dad is a crazy Puerto Rican man. And I know that if I would have exposed that situation, my father would have retaliated, and he most likely would have ended up in jail while the perpetrator would have been, my abuser would have been running the streets. that's just what I felt like I should do at that moment. Was it the best decision? No, but I'm giving you the mind of a young person. So for the parents out there, if if you suspect that your child is being abused in any way, I tell parents, don't be afraid to invade, right? Don't be afraid to invade, because, we're in this society now where we want to respect our children and their privacy. And I'm like, I'm sorry, honey. I'm sorry. You don't pay these bills. You
don't have any
can
privacy.
you cannot make it without me until you can make it without me. But until then, yeah. And especially if I see signs, if I see, a change in their personality, if I see their grades declining, like there's so many signs that parents can see. But I think sometimes parents were just either too tired, too afraid. Once again, right? We're afraid to ask because we don't want to offend. Your child's life is worth offending. So do it.
So how did you break free of it? What was the ultimate thing when you said, okay, this is it, I'm done. And how were you? Because a lot of times if you're in the same area, it's not really easy to just like walk away because you see them everywhere. So what was your catalyst that you were able to kind of break away from the situation?
That's a fantastic question. It takes a woman 7 to 8 times before she attempts to leave a relationship in a domestic violence situation. For myself, it was just waking up one day and knowing that I wanted to end my life, right? So I was dealing with suicidal ideations, and they were just coming on stronger and stronger. The thought of just not waking up and having to be in pain was I felt like it was the only solution. And I want to say, I don't know if I was 18. So I was 18 and I was at a point where I was like, I'm done. I don't want to be here anymore. I'm a disgrace. Have all this shame. My parents taught me better. And I remember just getting on my knees and I prayed and I said, God, if I'm not ready to die, and if you can give me the strength to leave, I promise you that I will. And so I kept my promise.
So you have 2 daughters who are quite young. I mean,
right.
Summer and then Lila,
right.
Who's even younger. Do you think it helps at all when you have any kind of experience in your life that your child could benefit from knowing, hey, you went through this? And I don't mean waiting until you're telling your child, oh, I did X like you are now,
right.
But even before, do you think it's good to be open and share with them things that happened in your life? Obviously not when they're too young to handle it. I understand right. what you're talking about. But at what point should you do that? Or is it a wise time to do that so that when that conversation does come, when you see those signs, you can remind them, hey, I'm just not trying to come down on you or make you feel bad or whatever. I went through this myself. Right. As you remember, Is that valuable, you think? Or
Oh, absolutely. I feel like when kids enter middle school, mm-hmm. Those are conversations where you can begin talking about healthy relationships, right? Not just intimate, because when we think, I love the term intimate partner violence, because intimacy is with your friends, right? You connect with your friends so much, especially in that time. That's when you really begin developing like your character and making decisions and saying, oh, when I see someone bullying my friend, well, how does that make you feel? What are some of the things that you can do? And also setting standards for your child. Have them begin setting their own standards. I like someone who respects me, who respects my voice. So for me at middle school, you definitely should begin having these conversations. And obviously I talk all the time. So my girls know, Summer knows somewhat, but it's more of, these are healthy relationships. And this is what an unhealthy relationship. And when you begin your friendships, these are some of the things that you should look for. And so she gets it like, oh, okay, I understand that. And so she'll point out of like, oh, Mom, just a few days ago, this boy told this girl that she was very ugly. And I thought, wow, how did that make you feel? And she was able to process her feelings. And so I thought that was a beautiful thing. And that's really just the dialogue.
Mm-hmm. That's great. And I think you're right, especially middle school. That is a great time to be having those conversations, because I know most of our kids in our little social group went to the same school, or several of us did, through 6th grade. And they had this thing, social and emotional learning, where they were learning to be nice to each other and what a friend is. it stopped in 6th grade, and then they all got to middle school, and suddenly this massive bullying started. Like, well, these kids just went through SEL. I mean,
we don't have to be.
How could this
nice
be
anymore? That's done.
But
that class is done.
That obviously
were they taught sharing is caring?
Yeah. And so it's good to keep that going, and especially as a parent to keep the dialogue going when they're in middle school, for sure. Well, so you do have 2 daughters, and one of them is about to. I mean, she's doing interviews, and she's going to be out there. Her show is starting, I think, this
Monday,
month, October. Yeah.
On PBS Kids. Yes, Alma's Way.
So it's interesting. We've interviewed a couple of women who were child stars and their progress through their various careers. What's it feel like now to have a daughter that's about to enter into that realm? And I mean, how are you prepared for that, being on the other side of the camera, so to speak?
Yeah, it's, I feel like I'm completely prepared. I feel I'm the best mentor for her because I've been on the other side. I've just never experienced it at this age. So for my husband and I, it is just reminding her, this is a gift. Make sure you respect the gift. And the day that you feel that you don't want to do this anymore, then you don't do it anymore. Because you are worth more than any fame, any money, any script. Nothing comes above you. Your safety matters. And I think for parents who are getting into the business, it's hard because you want to become a people pleaser. You want to make sure you're not stepping on anyone's toes. But for me, it's about saying my child is first and her safety is first, because unfortunately, we have seen the horrible side, but I think what if we can just be the opposite? And what if we can really do something phenomenal with this while it lasts? And if you want to continue, then rock on, let's do it and have an impact. Mm-hmm. And also just making sure that she just has fun. I think when it becomes, unfortunately, some parents, this is their moneymaker, right? They stop living, and then the child has to carry on this just on their shoulders, and that's completely unfair. So I'm like, we've been in the business. This is just a bonus. If it doesn't happen anymore, we have an amazing life either way.
Mm-hmm.
When did you start seeing that she was kind of heading in this direction? Was she one who just, even from a young age, I mean, she's really dynamic, what I've seen her do in video, but I mean, I know you let her pursue it in her own interest, but like as a mom, what point did you kind of, and knowing the business, did you go, yeah, she could probably really enjoy this and have fun with it?
She was 5. She was 5 years old. And as she would always see me either auditioning or practicing my speeches. And I thought, would you like to make a video and put it on YouTube about how to be an awesome kid? And she was like, yes. And I thought, okay, let's see how she does. My girl just focused. She memorized everything. And she didn't get fidgety. She wasn't complaining. She was just focused. And when we recorded the video, I looked at it and I thought, wow, there is something there. Fun. But if it, it's one of those where you're like, oh, that's cute. Okay. That was fun. But her ability. And then one day I took out, I printed sides for a child actor. I had a monologue and I thought, read this with me. And she read it and she was able to just make it her own. I didn't, and I thought, okay, I think there's something. So when she landed the audition, which was last year, and she booked it, I was like, yeah, this makes sense.
Well, she is great. Well, we've seen of her. We saw the video that she did for school, the rap that was, I mean, right. She is very, very talented. Well, we'd like to bring her on and meet her.
Sure.
Summer Rose Castillo is joining us.
Yeah, today's her birthday, actually. So
that's what we heard. I mean, that is very, very exciting. I would sing happy birthday to her, but that might ruin her day.
Let's not do that. Neither one of us.
I always sang enough today.
We're not going there.
Although I will say, so her show, which is going to be on PBS Kids, is Alma's Way. Mm-hmm. And I recommend that. I listened to the theme song of that. That's so much better than... No offense to Bob the Builder, whoever wrote that, but it's like it's a really
playing that for
really
great
music,
song. It won't be terrible. Well, hello, Summer.
Hi, Summer.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, happy birthday, and welcome to the Moms Club. How are you today?
You. Hello, everyone. I'm good. How are you?
We are excellent. I guess you're gonna have a fun day. It's your birthday, so that's makes it
What's your favorite thing to do for your birthday? What's your favorite birthday tradition? What's your favorite thing to do on your birthday?
I would like to stay home from school and not do any homework.
Well, when my daughter was growing up, it was like her birthday was the one day I would go take her out of school and take her to lunch somewhere.
Oh,
I did that. And she could take a friend as long as the mom was cool with me taking that kid out of school too.
Well, it is very cool. So are you excited about your show starting? Is it next week?
Yes, I am very excited. Very, very, very excited.
So you're doing the voice of the main character, which that's a different skill, right? How does that work? Because people are always interested, like, how do you match up the voice to the animated figure? How does it work? Can you explain to the audience here?
Well, me and Alma are...
No. How do you record?
Oh.
When you go into the recording studio with Holly?
Well, actually, I have a home booth that my father built. So I would go in there and I would work. And it's very good. It's useful.
She actually, she has to do a Zoom. So we had to build a studio. My husband built a recording studio in my house, in my living room. And she goes on Zoom and the director's there and she has her script. So that's how she records. So she's done this throughout the entire pandemic.
Summer, so are you watching the cartoon itself so that you can see what the character is kind of acting like to kind of get your personality out of it? Or are you just reading it and then they put the cartoon part in later?
I would just read it and then they would pick which one they like. And then later on, they would see the line that they chose, they would put it into the cartoon.
Yeah, she's not seeing the cartoon live because it's not created the animation just yet. So it's just her in the booth and then she just records. So she's never watching anything, but she's just with the director, like this right here on Zoom, and then she records.
So what's Alma's personality? Like does she live in a city? What's her story?
Alma's story is that she lives in the Bronx with her family and friends.
Mm-hmm.
And
so she gets to go around and meet all of her friends. Does she have a dog or a cat?
She does have a dog, and it's named Chacho.
Oh, yeah.
Is she a New York Yankees fan?
Oh, gosh.
No, I'm sorry. We're big into baseball on this show.
We're baiting.
Yeah, no. And Chacho is a little dog, and he's black and white.
Oh, how cool.
So one of the things that so Sonia Manzano, who played Maria on Sesame Street, she's the one who created this. And her thing is that she wanted to get kids to begin thinking through things, thinking about just problems, and also just using and understanding the power of their voices. So Alma, when she has a problem, she stops and she thinks it through. That's what it's called, right? A think through.
Yes, and a little bubble would appear next to her head, and then it would show the pictures of what she's really thinking about and how she could solve it.
Right. So she'll think things through and then she'll make a decision. And that's really what Sonia wants children who are watching it to really just be able to use their mind and understand that they're the power that they have in making decisions.
What was your favorite problem that she got, that you got to talk through? What was the script like for what was the favorite problem?
My favorite problem in one of the episodes is when her little brother Junior, he loses his tooth, and Junior is very, very upset. And it's a sister's duty to watch out for her brothers and sisters. So then she tries to think it through and see how she can cheer Junior up. And she does by bringing all of her family members together and finding Junior's tooth.
Oh, that's great.
Cool. That's a great one. Yeah, my son lost his tooth in the bottom of a river, and there was no finding that.
You know what? Everyone can relate to that because, I once was brushing my tooth for the tooth fairy, and it went down the drain, and that was the end of it.
Oops.
So
oh boy,
that's actually a real problem. So I like that. That's a great problem. Well, so what do you want to do? You're in this show, and I guess it's shown in like 11-minute segments. Is that what it's going to appear on PBS Kids as a
yes?
Just appear as a
Every episode is 11 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's really cool. So what do you want to do next? So I mentioned earlier in this show, there was a show called Barney, which was a long time ago about a purple dinosaur. There was a studio in an acting school in Dallas, which the woman that owned it, she cast a lot of kids on Barney, and two of them were Demi Lovato and Selena Gomez. So they were both on a kids show called Barney, and now they've become very famous in singing and in acting. So do you see yourself maybe doing other things in this profession, or are you just going to kind of enjoy this and then see where it goes?
I would like to enjoy Alma's Way and see where it would go in the future.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
How many episodes did you get to do of Alma's Way?
So right now I'm up to 37. In total,
Wow.
I have 40.
Oh, wow.
That's amazing.
And also I have done 2 movies. One of them is called Brownsville Bred, and it was written and created by Elaine Del Valle, who also cast me for Alma's Way.
Oh, very cool. That's how you kind of got into that. And then what was
Right.
your other movie? You said you did 2 movies, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
The other film is an independent film called Dancer, but she plays a young girl living in Brooklyn, and she's from Brownsville, and it's a beautiful relationship between her and her father, and it's based off of Elaine's life, actually, the director, and Elaine is also the casting director for Alma's Way.
Very
So
cool.
this is her first leading role on camera, so it's exciting.
That is exciting. Well, this is really cool. Well, here in the Moms Club, we have what we call Zoomer Moms, and they come and join us and ask questions. So let's bring in our Zoomer Moms. Welcome, Zoomer Moms. Welcome inside the Moms Club. So I'm going to take you around. Let's introduce all of the moms. First, we have Helen Savage from Arlington, Virginia. She has a daughter who is a 5th grader. Julie Orchid is a mom of 2 daughters. Mary Pat Detmer is a baseball mom, so we can certainly relate to her. She has 2 sons. We have Angela McComb, who has 2 daughters and a son, who's also a baseball player. And finally, last but certainly never least, Jennifer Marsh, who has a son and a daughter. Welcome. Welcome, ladies, to Inside the Moms Club. Well, let's ask questions. We're very lucky today. We have 2 guests. We have April and Summer. So let me start with Helen. Helen, do you have a question for April and Summer?
I do, and happy birthday, Summer. So my daughter's 10 years old, and she is very outgoing and vivacious and lots of activities. It sounds like very similar to Summer. But how do you handle conflict when Summer may not want to do what you necessarily want her to do, or she pushes back, or what? Any tips? Because I'm having a few little struggles these days, and any help you can provide would be most appreciative. Any advice?
I'm still working through that, but for instance, like today, later on, she has an audition and it is her birthday. And so I just really like to talk her through these situations and saying, okay, so here's what we have. How is your energy? How are you feeling? Can you push through? And can we, get this performance out of the way? But also, I think for myself and my husband, making sure that we add adventure to our children's lives, because things become so mundane, right? Like it's just the same thing. So making them always have fun, but also understanding like work is work. When we need to work, we do that. So compromise is a huge thing in this family. And it's also, you don't ever want to push them too hard because you don't want them to dislike or become resentful.
Right.
And right? Like
Right.
when I'm asking you.
Yeah, you don't really want to push your children too much. You want to like take your time and see if they got it or not.
Mm-hmm.
And then once they're ready, if they're good, they're good.
Right. And then, and it's also, I have to understand she's 9. She's 9. And although I can go 1,000, sometimes she can't. And I have to be okay. And if I have to make an executive decision, or my husband has to do that, where we reach out to the casting or agents and saying, we're going to pass on this, They just have to accept it.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Great.
Mary Pat, do you have any questions for April and Summer?
I do. Hello, nice to meet you, and happy birthday.
Mary.
Hi. So, this is a question for both of you, but maybe Mom would want to answer first. I have two sons that are much older. One's 10 years older than you, and one is 11 years older. And, but they're both aspiring to be bigger in their fields. One is a baseball player in college and wants to play for the Major League Baseball team. And the other one is a singer in college and would love to be on Broadway or sing at the Met, you know. So my question is, how do you handle keeping your daughter grounded and aware of financials, you know, as the money starts rolling in and the attention starts rolling in? For both of you, what would your advice be to help them stay humble and grounded and save money?
You make them do chores. You make them throw out the garbage. You make them make their beds. Because
and you can also make them check the mail.
There you go. You check the mail. It's funny, when I wanted to become an actor, my mother was like, "That's great. Can you go take out the garbage?" And I thought, okay, sure, no problem. First of all, she is a human being. She is a little girl, and it's about remaining aware of the gift. Once, like I was talking about before, just being aware. And also having conversations about money and really talking about money. We show her everything. We show her all of her finances. She knows exactly what she's getting. And she adds to anything that needs to be done in the family, it makes her feel like she's contributing. We're not afraid to talk about money, which a lot of people are. I don't know why. And also understanding that what are we going to do to extend this, right? And how can we invest it? I'm having those conversations with her at 8 years old, 9 years old. And it really helps them understand the concept of money, right? That money doesn't just come out of anywhere in the sky or us, because we're the parents.
A quick follow-up. When Summer comes to you and says, I've made all this money and I've saved all this money and I want to buy myself this super duper high tech laptop with all the bells and whistles, and it's my money, so I can get that, right? I mean, how do you respond to those
I say
purchases? I
go, technically it is your money, but you are under our dominion, honey bunny. So you're not going to just go and splurge just because you want to go out and splurge. We want to be smart with our finances. I've heard too many horror stories about that's why the Coogan account was created, because these young actors back in the days, there was no money set aside for them. So automatically, so that if your child gets into Broadway or become an actor and they're under 18, you have to create a Coogan account automatically. You cannot even get on set until that Coogan account is ready to go. And I think that is profound. I think that's life-changing, because if they stop, oh, wow, at 18, they have 20 grand that they made on their own. Having a great tax professional is very key. But we allow her once in a blue moon to say, hey, you have this, what would you like to do? And for her, it's like, I want to buy a rainbow high doll. That's the most expensive thing. You know what I'm saying? So I hope that answered your question.
That's a great question. In fact, you mentioned the Coogan account. So Jackie Coogan was a child actor, played with Charlie Chaplin, and later on ended up being Uncle Fester on the Addams Family. I mean, as an adult. But yeah, he lost all his money because his family stole it. So that's where that came from. So yeah, those are great questions. Also great to be able to talk to your kids about that, because I know when my son was about Summer's age, I remember one time he asked for something. I said, I don't have that. I don't have the money. And he said, sure you do. Go over to that machine and just, put that card in. He was already explaining to me how to use an ATM. I'm like, that's not exactly how this works. So Great question.
Yeah.
Jennifer, do you have a question?
Summer, congratulations on everything you're doing, and best of luck to you too.
Thank you so much. I hope you have a great day.
Jennifer, do you have a question?
Oh, hi, Jennifer.
Hi, how are you?
I'm great.
Well, happy birthday. I'm so excited for you. 9 is a big deal. You're almost 2 digits, which is right around the corner. And you've done so much already, you and your mother both. I would imagine your lives are really busy and you spend a lot of time trying to make hard decisions about how to spend your time. So how do you make time for your family? Because it sounds like you both have pretty serious careers and everything feels like a family project, and such that like your father's building a studio in your living room. So obviously you're pretty committed to your careers, but how do you find time as a family, the 4 of you? And do you have rituals around family time that allow it to kind of be sacred, or, because it's easy to just kind of get to always say yes to all the demands and never have time to slow down?
That's a powerful question. We have major boundaries that we set as a family. Every night for dinner, we sit at our table. There are no phones, no electronics.
Yeah, we would all sit at the table, turn off all of the electronics, and just take this moment at dinner time to just spend time with our family, since we are working so much. I've been working on Alma's Way. My mom has been working. My dad has been working. We've all been working. So dinner time is pretty much our time to talk to each other and see how we're doing so far, and just like take a break from the electronics.
Okay,
that's great.
That's
great. That's
great.
And it's interesting because it's so easy, right, to just bring this to the table. But we're all accustomed. And also, we take our weekends very seriously. We know that is the time. Sundays, there is no business talk. It is just relaxing.
And usually Saturdays, we would like start to clean the house together. No business talking, just cleaning and trying to stay focused on the house. But yes, Sunday we would just relax, and Sunday is pretty much our day to take a moment.
To woosah. And also the outdoors. We are a hiking family, and adventure is very important to us. Camping is very important to us because, when you're living in the Bronx, you can't really camp anywhere.
Yeah.
And there aren't mountains. But it's, I think those moments. And then sometimes during the week, we'll say, if it's like a Wednesday, we're just going to check out. We're going to check out and check in with each other.
Angela, do you have any questions?
Happy birthday. So I have 2 girls and a boy, and it's sort of interesting raising, they're adults now. But I do still have a place in my heart for women and the struggle for women when their careers are starting, no matter what age they are. Do you have any advice specifically for women or young girls?
When it comes to their career?
When it comes to trying to do anything professional, no matter what they're driving, what they want to do with their life.
Right. For myself, it was always important, especially when I became a mom, to maintain my own identity and making sure that I was still pursuing acting, I was pursuing speaking, because it's important for my daughters to see, yes, I may be home, but I'm still a working woman. I'm a woman with dreams and with goals. And sometimes mothers fall short when it comes to taking care of themselves, because they think like they have to give up everything in order to be there for their children. But I always tell them, man, if your kids see you succeeding, when a woman is happy and she is fulfilled, everyone is happy at home. So having a baby shouldn't stop you. It should accelerate your goals and dreams. Does that mean that you have to carve certain things and move them around? Absolutely. And for me, I've always been a big dreamer, but I'm also into making my dreams come true. So what is it that you really want to do, right? Number one, identifying what that is. And if you don't know, then begin the journey of saying, this is who I see myself as. Okay, how do I get there? How do I get from point A to point B? And really just I think as parents, when we can mirror to our children, it is possible to be successful, and this is what it looks like. Even if you don't have everything, but just really feeling yourself. Your kids deserve to see that, but most importantly, women need that. And purpose, it drives direction and passion for us. You know, that's really important.
Right, and also I am a big dreamer as well. My biggest dream is to go to Paris with my family, and my whole family is working together to try to get this money to make our dream come true. I'm not the only one working. Mommy's not the only one working. Nobody is the only one working. We're all working together. We're putting our money together, and we're trying to make this biggest dream come true.
Yay. That's great. I hope you get there.
That's awesome.
Julie, do you have a question?
Yes, I will make it quick. First of all, Summer, happy birthday. And you have to know, I have a thing about birthdays. It's okay to call September a birthday month. So if today isn't your whole day, you go ahead and say, your parents would probably like birthday week instead of birthday month, but it's okay. So I just wanted to tell you that. So my question to you is, I love, you answered everything, and that you were able to take out, by speaking and writing, the shame away from certain subjects. And if it wasn't for freedom writers, do you think that you still would have had the strength to do so?
That's a great question.
Yeah, that's a really, really good question.
Thanks.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I don't think so, because it made me do a lot of inner reflection, and it forced me to look at my own path. I don't know if I would have had the courage to face myself if it wasn't for the film. Yeah. I don't know if I don't know. That's a great question. For me, I feel like, no, I wouldn't have been able to do it.
Courage is half the battle. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
My 4-month-old puppy, Summer, is barking to come meet you.
Aww.
Well, and just to wrap up here, Freedom Riders is a great film. So I would encourage everyone to see that. I'd also encourage them to check out your Instagram page at April L. Hernandez. And where else can they find you on social media? I know we can find you online, your TEDx talk.
Yes, on TEDx is on YouTube. Summer's page is at Summer Rose Castillo. She's on there, which we run. They can also find me on LinkedIn at April Hernandez Castillo.
Okay, great. Well, you all have been great guests. I'm so excited to see your show. Well, everyone will have to tune in to Alma's Way. And Summer, I have to say, you're so wise, and you've given such great advice. We'll have to have you back in here to give moms more advice, because that was all really good.
So
very well spoken.
Yeah.
Very well spoken.
Well, and thank you to our sponsors, our sponsor, What's Behind the Game. It's a podcast for young athletes who are aspiring to be professionals or themselves. And it's interviews with professionals and college athletes and how they got to be where they are today. You can catch them on Spotify and iTunes or wherever you listen to podcasts. And you can find us on the UBN Go network, on iTunes, Spotify, and we're everywhere as well. So we also have a website, Inside the Moms Club. You can catch us on at Inside the Moms Club, our Instagram page, on Clubhouse, and soon we're going to have a lot of fun promotions and exciting opportunities for you to interact with the Moms Club through your own Moms Club. Well, I can't believe this time has gone by so fast, as it always does, but we'll be back next time with celebrities and extraordinary moms just like you. We know your me time is precious and valuable. Thanks so much for spending some of it with us. We hope to see you again. Remember our motto, though, until the next time, keep laughing, because if you don't laugh sometimes, what happens, Leslie?
Sometimes you'll cry.
You're going to cry. So thanks again for joining us on Inside the Moms Club. Bye for now. We'll see you next time.
Bye. Thank you.
Have a good day.